to the listeners.
Thank you so much for your patience. I know you were waiting while we finished that interview, but we really do appreciate you making time for us. Professor, let's start with, what does the US warning against a joint G20 declaration really signal about the state of US-South Africa relations right now?
Let me just say that the news are changing. Now, the United States has sent a list of 6 delegates that will represent the United States at the summit, and the notice of ban, I think, was received today, from what we hear, and the United States will now be represented at the summit. But they still would not want a declaration, because a declaration is somewhat sort of a successful conclusion of a conference, indicating that there's been a consensus reached. The United States is uncomfortable with a number of key elements in the general consensus of the G20, not just now, in the past 10 years. There's been consensus about the idea of sustainability. The United States opposes, the current government opposes sustainability. The idea of inclusiveness, inclusive this, inclusive that. They see it as DEI, which they are fighting in the United States, so that they oppose that. The idea of solidarity, they oppose that because they think it's a socialist idea. And the very mention of climate change, they say it must be global warming, and that it's not a global challenge. Global warming has been happening throughout life. They don't want this talk about energy transition, because they don't want renewable energies. They want us back in the coal-based fossil fuel energy. So there's a number of things that they don't agree with, though they participated in negotiations. That's true. Now, the task they had was to convince the rest of the 20 states, because there are 20 member states of the G20, convince all of them to take their line. They are now trying to force these 20 member states to not recognize their consensus among themselves, because the United States alone does not agree with most of the things. I know Argentina doesn't agree with some elements, but Argentina has argued it in the negotiation, in the task forces, in the working groups. They've argued their views there, and that is it. So this is simply an indication of 2 things. One, that the United States has lost its
we can maybe get Professor Zondi back on, inshallah, so we can talk to him. It's quite interesting to find out his perspective with regards to... Okay, here we go. Go ahead, Professor. We lost you there for a moment.
Yes. So I was saying then one is an indication that they have a problem with multilateralism. They want to do everything through bilateral, one-on-one, so that they can strain, not negotiation, deal, not consensus, deal, not diplomacy. So they don't do that. So they don't even care that the G20 was at the very beginning co-initiated by a Republican president.
Professor Zondi, I'm sorry to cut in, but we have Professor Zondi. I'm sorry to cut in, but we seem to have a very unstable connection, and we're not really getting much of what you're saying.
Yes,
Is it possible
for
us to try and maybe get you on a phone?